60 till about 1980,
Cool.
mid 80s maybe. And I have 394.
That should keep you busy for a while.
That's about 13 hours.
Yeah.
But and
Now,
I've got a
does that have a
go ahead.
built-in navigation system? Because I discovered something, how it's
It
working.
I do not believe that the model I'm getting has a built-in nav system.
Because sometimes, like the truck I had, it had a built-in nav system, but if you press the button on the steering wheel to open up the mic, if you just say something, it will use the internal system. If you want it to use CarPlay or Android Auto, if you want to use Android Auto, which I'm assuming you're going to use, you have to say, "Hey Google, I'd like to go here." You have to start it with "Hey Google." Then
Oh,
it knows
okay.
to do the local system. So I learned a lot about Android Auto, and I was thinking of you as you know.
Yeah.
In five.
This is Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
Hey, hello there, everyone. Welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. As usual, it's us. I'm Les Jackson. That guy is Fred Staab. We have the top down, and we're belted in, and we're heading for the wherever we can get an iced tea before we really get on the road. But before that, we have a whole lot of stuff we can talk about regarding the industry, and we're going to be doing that right now.
Yeah, Les, big news in the auto industry, and it might not make some people happy. If you bought the last call Rubicon 392 with the Hemi in it, well, it wasn't the last call. I guess it's so popular they decided to have it available in the 2025 model year. So it was 2024 was supposed to be the last one, but it's going to be available in 2025.
Well,
Mixed feeling on that. If you didn't buy one, you're like, great, I have another last chance. If you did buy one thinking you had the last model,
that's right.
You might
and
be
you
upset.
got stiffed for extra charge. However, you can always, well, who knows? Meanwhile, BMW shows off its all-new X3.
Yeah, I always
Kinda
like
cool.
the X3. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite BMW models, and they've modernized the look of it. I've always liked the M3 model of it, and it's always been a nice performer and a decent-sized vehicle. And then news that we kind of predicted, and it wasn't really a big prediction if you read everything about it, but Fisker, Bankrupt. Chapter 11,
Yeah.
Les, and marks the second time for Henry Fisker that it didn't work out. Will he try a third? Who knows?
I guess it depends on who takes over to manage the company.
Do you think someone will buy the design for the Ocean and just build it? I mean, it's a nice looking
I
vehicle.
think I think so. It's got enough respect for that.
They're still for sale. Would you buy one?
I'd stay away myself, but
Yeah.
that's just because I would stay away. But speaking of other vehicles, a place of their own, the Bronco Off Road or Rodeo opens up a new location to let owners grow their off-road skills. Now, this is I don't understand why a lot of this hasn't been done before, but
Yeah.
it's a driving school for off-roaders.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. We're also going to have some details on two reveals. One is a very exciting vehicle. We'll talk about that. And what countries have the least expensive fuel? So, a lot to get to. We're going to take a quick break and be back. Fred Staab and Les Jackson, you are on cruise control. Stay tuned.
in 5.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson. And Les, let me ask you this. Everyone says it's the last call. It's the last time you'll buy this model. You buy it, and then you find out, well, they're going to keep building it after all, at least for another year. So what do you think about that? Does that get you upset?
Well, I think if I bought it for an investment, this is the last whatever model of this Porsche or Mustang or something, and I buy it, I pay extra money for an investment, then I would be very angry, and I don't know what I could do about it.
Nothing.
Probably nothing. Otherwise, just kind of shrug and say, well, okay, it's not surprising. The companies will, extend the production if these things suddenly get really popular.
Sure.
I'd still be angry that I've spent the extra money.
Well, this is the case with the Jeep 392, the Hemi-powered Jeep. If you remember, this was brought out a couple of years ago. Very popular. And because a lot of people were doing Hemi swaps on Jeeps, and Jeep said, well, we'll sell you one of our own. So 2024 was supposed to be the last year, but now it is going to live on in the 2025 model year. It's got the 6.4-liter Hemi V8 pumping out 470 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. And a quarter mile in 13 seconds, which must be interesting, a quarter mile in a Jeep that's got, it's pretty high up in the air, big tires.
And short wheelbase.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't want to run that on a drag strip.
It could get squirrely at the top end, as they say.
Sure could.
So the final edition gets an exclusive hood and fender vent decals, black Napa leather trim seats, specially monogrammed shifter medallion, and swing gate plaque, standard 8,000-pound capacity worn winch. Now there's something. Emblems are nice, but that 8,000-pound capacity
emblems are nice.
But that winch would be nice. Half-inch suspension lift, heavy-duty rock sliders, which are all important if you're going down the drag strip, the rock sliders. Mopar fold-out swing gate table, and a standard Extreme 35 package with bronze 17-inch beadlock-capable wheels and 35-inch BF Goodrich all-terrain tires, and the Mopar triple loop grill guard and Mopar Jeep 83 toolkit will only be available in the 2024 model year and not the 2025 final edition models. So there you have it. I think it could be a squirrely beast, this one. What do you think?
Well, yes, I think very squirrely. Also, my advice to any potential buyer of the extended final edition would be look very carefully at the decals in the showroom. If it says final edition, that's fine. If it says final-ish edition, don't buy it.
If it says maybe under it.
Yeah. Well, kind of, sort of.
Yeah. Possibly the last edition. We'll see. Maybe it'll say "we'll see" under it. Maybe that
That's right.
But that just blows my mind if you would run that on the drag strip, the 13-second quarter mile in that. No thanks. No, I made a great vehicle and it'd be great off road and around town. But Jeeps have a certain feel to them that it's not really designed for, let's say, autocrossing or the drag strip. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Again, yeah, it's fantastic at low speed, maneuvering all over the place, but something with a high center of gravity and a narrow track, well, not too narrow, but certainly a short wheelbase. That's not the recipe for weight transfer at high speed.
No, not at all.
So,
Well, let's move on to the BMW X3. It is an all-new fourth generation model revealed this week. One of their biggest sellers, and it is a nice sized vehicle. I guess it's their smallest crossover, right? Or do they have an X2? I'm not sure.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's certainly not a completely small vehicle. When we come back, we're going to tell you about the new exterior design, the new engines, the new mild hybrid system, and a whole lot more. It's all coming up on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We will be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. We are going to talk about the new 2025 BMW X3. It's the new version. It's been around a while, and it's when BMW refreshes their cars, they generally do a really nice job of it. This one looks like it's going to continue that tradition.
Yeah, all new, Les. Fourth generation.
I'm gonna say it. It's a station wagon.
Or a high-top sneaker. I always thought they looked like high-tops.
A raised station wagon. And, of course, BMW is famous for station wagons, For many
Absolutely,
years.
and they still sell them, believe it or not, in the U.S., although
Yeah,
not too many
to
people buy
who
them.
don't turn the other way when you say station wagon.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of these things. This is fresh from the press release. A new exterior design language and modern interior with the BMW curved display and iDrive 9. iDrive 9. New 4
iDrive 9.
and 6-cylinder engines all get a 48-volt mild hybrid system. New digital options for driver assistance systems, infotainment, and personalization. And the worldwide launch will commence in the fourth quarter of 2024. And we have some rough pricing for this. The X330 xDrive, notice they haven't changed over their confusing nomenclature just yet, $49,500. And the BMW X3 M50 xDrive, which is one of my favorites. I like the M version of this X3.
Well,
64,100.
yes, no wonder you like it. It's got a lot more money in it.
Then you get the base one gets the 2-liter twin turbo 4-cylinder, which is found under the X330 xDrive. And then, as I mentioned, has a 48-volt hybrid system. And then if you want more power, of course, you can get the straight 6 in the M50, which lays it down even further, and of course costs you more money too. So it's basically like they have two engines, BMW. I'm not so big on the colorful interior with the
that's because, my friend, all of those colors, the lighting on the inside, is because the M50 is an emotionally intoxicating driving experience.
Yes. What we're talking about is there's a brown leather interior, and then they have the colors of the M series, red, white, and blue, emblazoned on the bezel trim, which I'm not sure if that's lighting or if it's like that all the time. But
I
looks.
think it's lighting. But we'll check that out.
Yeah, lighting would be fine, but it certainly doesn't go with the brown leather interior.
It doesn't. It does not. Yeah.
It makes me think like, oh, this is something somebody got and added on, like peel and stick customization. But anyway, the outside of the vehicle looks good. It looks sharp. There's a different grille design. It's got the dual kidney grills, but it also has large areas under the bumper for a lot of air intake, especially on the M50 version.
Lots of coolers.
Looks very planted. And these are built in South Carolina, right?
They are, and then exported around the world.
Yeah.
So
when they came out, they were built by
neat.
Magnus Steyr, and I like to segue. So Magnus Steyr is a kind of a for-hire builder of vehicles, right? If you have a vehicle you want built, but you don't have capacity, they'll do it. Well, they used to build the M3 when it started a long time ago. Now BMW built it in its own plant in South Carolina. But you're going to love this segue. Fisker, who is going bankrupt, they had their vehicle built by Magnus Steyr, the Ocean. And now we're going to talk a little bit about Fisker going Chapter 11. Henrik Fisker, he had another Fisker-based product a long time ago, which was a hybrid, and it was eventually sold to Karma, to a company called Karma, which still builds them, I believe. But this was going to be the big time for Fisker. They had the Ocean. He had another car called the Pear that was going to be coming along, kind of a small SUV that sort of looks like what Kia's doing with the EV3. Unfortunately for Fisker, it was a disaster. They didn't have any spare parts. People had to scrap cars because they got a dent in their door because there's no parts to repair it. People getting stuck inside cars, software glitches, recalls, you name it. And basically the bottom fell out. And I'm sad because I like this design of car. I thought it was an interesting car, recycled materials, solar panel built into the roof. I really thought it was kind of interesting. I wanted to see him succeed. There was rumors that it would be bought by Nissan and others that wanted to get a leg up with a design of a car, that was ready to go. I still think that might happen. There's some talk Lucid might buy the designs.
It's certainly now on a counterpoint to what you just said. Some say that the Ocean, as they call it, was an undercooked design
Okay.
of an EV, or woefully unfinished. These are the financial people talking.
Woefully unfinished is never a report you want to get from like your boss.
Yeah, full of novelties out and beautiful outside, but undercooked inside. But saying all that, I'm just looking at the numbers here, and I'm certainly not an accountant, but the assets listed are between 500 million and a billion, and the liabilities listed are between 100 million and 500 million. So why would you go bankrupt when you're still solvent?
I don't know. I just talk about cars on the radio. I'm hoping someone picks up the design.
Well,
to me,
it seems to me they will, because the asset, they still have assets. I mean,
yeah.
Why wouldn't you buy them?
Even if you took the body and put it on your own platform, if the platform was not engineered, just take the design and put it on your platform. These things are still available. Carfax lists 173 of them available.
Wow.
And they run from prices from $26,000 to $46,000.
It's pretty cheap.
But there's a lot of concern what happens during bankruptcy. Could these cars be bricked when the company goes under completely? Now, I still think this is a good opportunity for someone. We all know what's going on in the automotive industry. You got to design electric cars while building hybrids, and people are spending a lot of money. They have to team up. Wouldn't this be an opportunity for someone to save some money? The development's been done. You have to come in and do some more engineering on it.
Yep, debug it,
which is not a big deal for automotive engineers. They could do it.
Yeah, for those that know how. Sure.
Yeah. Do you think other manufacturers are going out and buying some of these things and looking at it and thinking, like, what could we do with this?
I would think. They buy other manufacturers' vehicles all the time to see how they stack up to them.
And if someone bought them, they also have the Alaskan, I believe it was, pickup truck, and the Pear small EV. I think somebody will snap them up and do something with it, but we'll see. We get your opinion on that. Drop us a line at our social media outlets. Fred Staab, Les Jackson. We will be right back. Plenty more to go on Cruise Control.
A lot.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. Well, going away from the bad news of Fisker,
That's right.
we're going to talk about a very successful product, which is the Bronco.
Oh, extremely successful.
People love them. You got to stand in line, wait for one. And if you want to learn how to drive it like the off-roaders do, or maybe you want to take it to the Baja sometime, you can do it. There's the Bronco Off Roadeo, which is a training track system. New location to let owners learn how to drive off-road, and you really should. If driving off-road isn't just going off-road and bouncing around like you see on all the TV shows and flying it,
Catching air. Although
yeah.
you've been known to catch air at times.
Some of us are professionals at catching air, and occasionally on purpose.
There's that story about us following the pig truck, but yeah, that we'll save that for another day.
These are true stories, but we're not going to go into them.
And four wheels coming off the pavement somehow.
Yes, and not an off-road vehicle.
Yes. Okay, but anyway.
That said,
yeah.
yeah, but really, there are a lot of techniques to learn driving off-road.
Yeah.
A lot of really, these are great tricks and techniques that can make the experience just a heck of a lot more fun.
Yes. And
it's worth it.
It is worth it. This is in Tennessee, the new opening of the new Bronco Off Roadeo outlet. And it is, I guess they have their own Broncos. That's the key thing. It's always good to learn on someone else's stuff.
You always want to learn on someone else's vehicle.
Yeah. 9 out of 10 Bronco customers say the Bronco Off Roadeo exceeded their expectations for the experience, and they want to make sure as many Bronco owners as possible have the opportunity to attend our new Smoky Mountain location. Sounds like a great adventure,
Yeah.
And it's always important, like if this is offered, and Ford has been great about this. They do this with Mustangs. Chevy does it with Corvette. To learn the capabilities of the car in a safe area where you can really have fun with it, and it's just good to know. You may never use it that way, but it's good to know. Our mutual friend Kevin Tates, who is down in Tennessee, would tell me all the time about these off-road parks in Tennessee. He says, "Do you have them up in New York?" I said, "Nope. It's just too expensive, the land, to do that." And they wouldn't have something that's like, 300 acres where people are just driving around on it. But these sound great. They really do sound great. And I think it is something you should look into if you own a Bronco. To have off-roadeo eligibility, you have to have a Bronco Sport Badlands and Bronco Raptor. They have until December 31st to get into a program. And for the 2023 model year, the Bronco Sport and Bronco Raptor owners have until June 30th, 2025. And then the 2024 model owners, Bronco Sport, and Bronco Raptor owners, have until mid-December of 2025. Now, participants of all skill levels are welcomed. I'm not sure what the cost of this is or if it is included in the purchase. Do you know?
I don't know. I doubt that it's expensive.
Right.
If it isn't included.
Yep.
I would expect for half day or a full day, what do you think? Less than a couple hundred?
I don't know. I don't know what's involved. Is there food involved? But who knows? But it just sounds like something you should check into if you're a Bronco owner, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. If I owned a Bronco, and I hadn't already, gone to um, schools like this, I'd do it
Yeah.
because you get the most out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So,
And you get a can of spray mud.
that
So
Les is sadly right. You can buy sprayed
yes.
mud.
Yep.
It is a bit scary, but yes, you can buy spray mud, and it's instant credibility, isn't it?
That's
Credibility in a can. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's it's the equivalent of putting big exhausts on cars without actually altering the engines.
Yeah.
It's just noise.
Yeah. It's noise.
You're not impressing anyone except yourself.
Yeah. So.
Whereas I think a real mud experience, especially when you have the window open and you're not expecting it, now that's worth showing off.
Now I remember when the Hummer, the original Hummer, the full size, close to the military Hummer, became a civilian vehicle or available, and they're still built by AM General. And
Right.
there was an ex-military guy that wanted me to go to that, so he said, "You haven't lived until you forded water that's right up to the bottom of your windows, side windows." He said, "It will change your life." I remember.
I did this.
Did it change your life?
It changed Hummer's life because it was up on Catoctin Mountain in Maryland. I mean, serious off-road, with this kind of slope. And they kept saying, go down this way through the trees. And I said, we're not going to get between those two trees. This thing is very wide.
Very wide. Very wide.
And the directors of this thing said, no, go ahead.
It's like, okay, it's
did.
your vehicle.
and I came this close to hitting my side mirror, simultaneously shearing off the right side mirror because I was the first one through and they hadn't measured it.
They bought one of those cheap tape measures that was slightly off.
but you remember driving those back then on the streets, everyone got out of your way.
Yeah. Well, you took 2 lanes almost.
and they got 6 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, that's not good at all. Not good at all.
No.
I do remember driving the GM version, and of course the front wheels were open right there, and they said pull up next to that wall and start climbing. And so there were these big concrete blocks that were several feet tall, and you just nose the thing in, and you hear it scraping on the skid plate, and it would start climbing this wall. It literally climbed, and I was like, well, here's something I probably wouldn't do with my Hummer.
No.
But they're like, yeah, don't worry about it. That's what it's for. I was like, that's bizarre. Once again, I had to say, are you sure?
Exactly. Sometimes these are impressive, and sometimes they're just downright the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. So I was glad to do that with someone else's vehicle. Hey, let's talk a little bit about this. It's an interesting study by, believe it or not, Britain's Excite car leasing company, who analyzed prices, fuel costs. They compiled them using the global petroprices.com list, and they came up with the top 10 countries with the cheapest gas prices, right? Number 10,
now,
Poland.
yes. Right. Okay. I don't know enough about Poland. And number 9 is Portugal. I don't know enough about that.
No, I never thought about it really to
No.
say. Austria, they burn a lot of it.
But that's a little surprising, because That's the middle of Europe, and it's got to be expensive to take it there. And then number 7 is Sweden. Well, North Sea oil.
Right. Spain, I've driven in. Yeah, I remember it being about the same, really. I was ready to be shocked, and I thought, oh, that's not that bad, actually.
Yeah, about the same. Hungary is number 5 again.
And this
I
is
don't
moving
know
up the
enough about
list.
it.
Moving up the list to cheapest: Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey.
Turkey, and I got a lot to say about number 1.
All right. Well, number 1 is one we know. United States has the cheapest fuel.
The cheapest fuel of
Well,
all the countries.
We'll talk about that when we come back on Cruise Control. Stay tuned. Plenty more coming up. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab, Les Jackson. We were just discussing this study about the least expensive fuels, where the least expensive fuels are. Les brought up a good point, by the way, before the break, and he did a little research, so we'll get his input on it. This comes from Britain's Excite Car Leasing, and it uses globalpetrolprices.com. And the big takeaway was U.S. pay the least in fuel costs worldwide.
Yep.
But you raised a good point about Saudi Arabia, which was not in the top 13 even of this list. Wouldn't that be inexpensive fuel there?
It should be. It's the top producer.
You're right there.
U.S. is the number 2 producer.
So what is fuel in Saudi Arabia? Like a gallon, I guess.
I'm going to have to look that up. But the thing here that I just want to settle this. I get in these discussions, sometimes arguments all the time, when I hear people say, "God, the fuel prices, the gas prices here are terrible. I just, I can't, it's killing me." And I constantly respond, "No, they're not. $3.50 gas today is 34 cents a gallon in the mid-60s. And
which is what it used to be, right?
Everybody paid. From the 50s, it was mid-20 cents. 60s, it was mid-30 cents range, depending on regular or high test. It's just as cheap as it's always been. You are just spending beyond your means, or spending the money otherwise. But don't complain
about fuel
about
costs,
the government, or about anything else. It's your fault that you think it's more expensive. They get angry at me,
and then they slam a door or something.
Yeah, that's why I'm always wearing a bulletproof vest when I go outside.
Excellent. Well, the most expensive right now, I believe, is $9 and change.
That's
for
expensive.
The Netherlands, $9.02. I guess that's for a gallon or a liter. I can't. I think it's a liter. That's expensive. That's expensive. But I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's expensive in certain areas. More than that, Los Angeles, anything in California, it's expensive. But that's good news. That gas is relatively inexpensive, and in the U.S. So if you got to be number one, that's good to be number one on that.
There's good news for Americans, and that is it is projected that as far out as 2030, Americans will be paying an average of $3.37 a gallon.
So not going to change for 6 years or more.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Pretty cool stuff. I would ask you this, though, Les, with an eye towards classic cars and things like that. Should EVs eventually become the vast majority of cars, which we don't know if that will happen anytime or if it will always be a mix of hybrids and things like that, but let's assume it moved along the way they thought it would gas get a lot more expensive because less people are buying it? It's more, the economy of scale does not apply, at least the way it used to.
Yes, it would. But it would get expensive anyway, because gas comes from easy oil. That's what the industry. It's the easiest oil
to get, least expensive
to get. And that's been projected to run out by about 2040. And it's been projected that way since the mid-50s.
Okay.
So they know how much there is, under 1 trillion barrels.
It's enough for my weekend, I think.
Yes, that's right. And the world is using I forgot the number, but it's many billions of barrels a year.
Is it
It's
less
pretty easy
because vehicles have become efficient, or is that just in the Western world?
Well, it's the
and
sheer number of vehicles.
yeah, so they've gotten more
compared to the
efficient, but the
1950s,
numbers,
yeah.
yeah.
And this is also for home heating and other stuff.
Right. And people say,
so-
oh, well, go electric, but that's still a lot of that's coming
Yeah.
from fossil fuels.
And that's why the manufacturers have been making electric vehicles and designing them for years, because they know what's going to happen. As far as gas goes, for you and me, the carnival is going to be over in another 20 years.
Well, let's
there
move
you are.
on to something that's going to be revealed. Can you guess what this vehicle is? This is a teaser photo that we put up, and it is a reveal that's going to happen on the 25th. You'll be happy about this one, I think. It says "Let's Go" on the grill there. This is the new Jetta and Jetta GLI. Will be revealed on June 25th at 9 a.m. So that's your teaser photo of that.
That's cool. Online.
Yep. Got another reveal for you. 7/25/24, the Corvette ZR1. The unthinkable is revealed on July 25th, 2024.
This is going to be one heck of a car.
Yeah, of course, this is going to be basically the Z06 with its 5.5 liter flat plane crank engine, twin turbocharged. And then beyond that, you will have picture the ZR1, but put the E-Ray drivetrain in the front, the electric drivetrain, and that will be the Zora. So that they kind of do them, like, okay, here's the Z06, and then if we add this on, that's the ZR1. Then if we add on parts from the E-Ray, and put that onto the ZR1, that becomes the Zora. So it's kind of like components, adding bits and pieces.
It's yes, it's kind of the American version of the Bugatti Veyron.
I would say so.
This thing is going to be capable of incredible speeds.
Yes. This one, I would say, will have up over 800, maybe 850.
Oh, yeah. I think it's, well over.
And then the beyond that, no announcement on the Zora, but the Zora will have over 1,000. Imagine that. Whoever thought 1,000 horsepower was just a normal
would never
thing?
have believed it.
And
of course, the question is, where can you take it in the U.S. and not go to jail?
That's a good question. The track.
But even a track, you need a heck of a straight.
I think it would be great for what they do, the flying mile runs. I always thought one of those would
old
be interesting.
airports.
You get a mile to get up to speed, then they clock you, and then you have a mile to slow down.
Right. Yeah, get a long runway in the Southwest, one of these 2-3 mile long runways, and tear it loose.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, there's all events. People do that, and they build cars specifically for that, which is flying mile stuff. I think that's kind of interesting. I really do.
Or you could take it to Las Vegas Speedway, the oval, the banked oval.
I guess we have places to take our ZR1 then. It's good to know. But
yeah.
Hey, we appreciate you listening to Cruise Control. We covered a lot of ground. We hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to check us out on all our social media platforms. Just look for Cruise Control Radio. I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We're going to see you down the road.
Bye.